I mean, I can't say that I'm like healed from it, but I can say that when I see a picture of them, I don't cry, I smile. You know what I mean? Once my dad and my brother passed, it kind of hit me like, oh, I'm the last one of my bloodline. Like, I'm the last one with my last name. But you know when the Hulk was like, I'm always angry? Kind of like that. Like, even when you see me in the most calm state, there's always that little piece. So I'd say I can't put on a mask because I spent so long trying to take it off. You know what I mean? I can't wear it like Jim Carrey, like fighting to get it off. I gotta be a tree rooted in the ground, so if a branch snaps off, the whole tree don't tumble. You know, like I can't have a strong gust of wind taking me and my family with it.
As you can see, we have a pretty special guest lined up for you tonight in Native, a Delaware-based rapper who has quite the story to tell. If you enjoyed this episode, please like, comment, and subscribe to the channel to stay updated on new episodes and interviews we have lined up for you guys. We always appreciate the support. Now sit back, relax, and enjoy this new episode of Good Sip After Dark. Welcome to another episode of Good Soup After Dark. I'm your host, Jay Gonzalez. We have Marie Ree on the camera, on the ones and twos. And as per usual, we have another special guest. Another Delaware-based artist that we met in our adventures all around. It's got a pretty unique style, and actually not too long before this is published, you're going to actually see him on our new channel, the Recipe platform, one of our featured artists. We're really happy to have you here, Native. How are you tonight?
I'm doing awesome, man. I'm glad to be here. I'm excited.
We're happy to have you here, man. We're happy to work with you again. But before we start getting into things, that's your camera there. I'm going to ask you just to reintroduce yourself, let the people know where to find you.
What's going on? I'm Native. You can find me on Instagram at 302Native. And I'm the best artist out of Delaware. I'm gonna say it right now.
We love the confidence here, man.
Yes, sir.
And this is like your first interview, like kind of sit down podcast interview, right?
Yeah, for sure. I've never done anything in this type of fashion, so.
Okay, so we're just gonna get right into it. Don't be nervous. Where are the bodies? I'm kidding, man.
How did you find out? Who told you?
No.
It was you.
No, but in all seriousness, man, being that this is kind of like one of your first like full interviews, we just want to give you the chance to kind of open up and let people know just a little bit about yourself. How long have you been a rapper or an artist?
I started in 2016, so 8-9 years at this point when I like started writing, and then I released my first song about sophomore year or junior year of high school, and it was terrible. But you know, I found a passion for it pretty young. Like I had a lot of people that did music in the family, and I always kind of got, you know, that shiver down my spine when I heard like that crisp bar where you're like, ooh, like who knew? Like, you know what I mean? So I was like, I always did poetry and just all types of art in that fashion. And I love words and using words that people haven't heard before. So that's like something that I was like, all I got to do is be on beat and I can, you know, do this. It was like super popular at the time to just become a SoundCloud artist. So I was like, I'll, you know, give it a shot.
It's awesome, man. And so we first came across you at Slim's open mic. I think this was back in March. And Slim was another person that interviewed with us. But just kind of talking off camera. And like I said, this is your chance to like let people know who you are, what you're about, what you're going through. You mentioned that it was kind of like one of your first performances back after like a bit of a hiatus.
Yeah. I took a pretty large break. My dad passed away and it kind of gave me like an inspiration to start writing more and like actually put some time and effort into it and actually perform for the first time. And I performed with DJ Chaotic and a couple other artists. C's was there, Janad was there, B-Roy was there. So I met them, and then I did a couple more performances up until that summer. That the first performance happened in kind of like November. So I did that performance, and then summertime I did one, two more, and then I kind of stopped for a while because my brother had passed away in June. And it kind of just sent me down this like hole that I didn't know how to get myself out of. I didn't have any motivation or like drive anymore because I was just kind of at a point where I was like, am I even focused on the right things anymore? Or am I just kind of spitballing and throwing things at the wall, hoping they stick? So once that kind of happened, I kind of fell off, and then I went through a couple of iffy relationships that kind of also turned me off to the whole idea because they weren't the right people for me, and it caused me to spend so much time focusing on them and what they needed and not focusing on myself and what I love to do. So, I mean, the whole time I was still writing and doing stuff like that. So I have hundreds of songs probably in my notes, but I never put the effort into saving the money, going to record and do any promotion or making a video, anything like that, just kind of making content in general. Yeah, so it was like it was a rough transition, but I think I grew up a little bit to the point where I'm more focused on turning myself into something and leaving some type of legacy behind, because once my dad and my brother passed, it kind of hit me like, oh, I'm the last one of my bloodline. Like, I'm the last one with my last name. So it kind of put like a fear in my heart, like I kind of have to be something. And I'm an older brother. Like I grew up protecting and like halfway raising kids and stuff. So like in my mind, I have to become something to be able to be that influence for them to push and not give up and quit on themselves or on things that they believe in and love. So that's kind of what motivated me to get back into it, just to one, do something that I actually enjoy and stop sitting in that black hole of negative emotion. And I did a lot of soul searching, and I hit a point where I realized that you can make anything happen if you believe it with your whole heart. Like in my mind, I was like, I know I can make it in music if I just work. Like, and I kind of made those things happen recently. When it comes to like me getting an apartment, all I did was put my mind to it and work towards it, and it happened. So in my head, as long as I have an idea and I believe it with my whole heart and then just put some action into it, it'll come true, because it's just mind over matter. So yeah.
Well, first off, I want to say I'm sorry for your losses. Like, you know, it's a lot to go through, it seems to, like, in a really short amount of time. And it obviously affected your life. It affected your trajectory. Mm-hmm. Like, one of the things that I took from that was pretty important is like the concept of like leaving behind a legacy.
Yeah.
Do you mind kind of like expounding on that a little bit, and like what leaving a legacy like means to you? Obviously, you know, with the passing of your father and being the last, you know, as you say, it's such a heavy way to put it, but like the last of your bloodline, right? Mm-hmm. Like, was legacy something that was important to you before these unfortunate events happened? And how has that changed afterwards? And what are you doing to leave behind that legacy?
Legacy was always kind of an important thing to me. And if not legacy, just to leave something behind to where I'm not forgotten when I'm gone. And what I realized is when my father passed, I was the oldest son, so I had to make all the decisions. I had to plan his funeral, and it all happened in an instant. It was within a week. So I was here in Delaware, and then I got a call that he passed. I went through an hour of confusion, and then I had to fly down to South Carolina where he lived and I lived at one point. Um, excuse me. And my dad died from an overdose, and a lot of members in my family on my dad's side and my mom's side didn't really leave like a good taste in the mouth just in life. So it's like, I didn't want to be known as a fuck up. I didn't want to be known as, oh, he's just like his dad. Oh, he's just like this person, just like that. I hated being compared to other people because I'm so vastly different than anyone else in my life, because I didn't have a normal childhood. I wasn't raised by two parents. I wasn't even raised by one parent. I was raised by a village of people. Like, I was raised by uncles, aunts, grandmother, like at different increments of time. So I had different experiences in different places because I moved a lot too. So it was like, I gathered so much information, and I was an only child up until the point of 11 maybe, because then my little brother was 15, so he lived in South Carolina and I still lived in Delaware and Maryland, so I wasn't around, so I couldn't really claim that I was there for him as much as I wanted to be, which is also kind of partly like the reason that hit me so hard, how my dad gave me motivation and my little brother just kind of, it just hurt. Like, it wasn't, I didn't know how it happened, and it was just a devastating loss because he was just a kid and he hadn't had a chance to leave any mark on the world. So for me, the legacy was always trying to change the name Parkhurst into something positive when it comes out of someone's mouth. Because we've always just, like, if you heard that name, there was a negative connotation attached to it. So it was like, I have to do something. I have to become something to, one, show the people that didn't believe in me that they were wrong, and show my siblings that even out of the situation we came from, we can become something. And my dad was like, he wasn't a bad person. He just went through a lot as well. Pretty much the same thing I did, except he made a different decision. I like to look at life as like a choose your own adventure book, right? It's like, you can go this way or this way and you end up at a different place. So it's like, my whole life I spent focusing on making the correct decisions instead of the ones that I wanted. None of my decisions were based on any emotion. So when I had to go to my dad's funeral and stand up in front of a crowd of 100 people, and half of them I didn't even know. They weren't near my dad. They weren't with my dad. They didn't help him when he was struggling with drugs and alcohol. And so I stood there. I couldn't even cry. I was just standing there with a stone face reading my eulogy. And all I had was just like anger just built up like over the years. One, because my dad wasn't even around in my life. I still loved him, but I only seen him in summers and holidays because, like I said, he lived in South Carolina. So when I was 3, he moved away. He still tried to be in my life, but he wasn't there. And I was angry at him for most of my life because I was like, what is it about me that drove you away? Like, why didn't you love me enough to stay here with me? And it wasn't until I grew up and like became a man that I realized that he made that choice for me because he didn't want me to be him. So, and I could see it all over his face that it was the hardest thing he had to do because he loved his children, like to no end. Like, he loved his kids, but the demons per se that he had won. You know, he lost his mother when he was the same age when I lost him. And in one of my songs, I talk about the fact that he put me in the same position and expected me to be different, which I was just confused a lot and I was filled up with anger. But then I think within the last, like during that hiatus and right before I restarted, I kind of came to the conclusion that no matter how much I wish I could change the things that have happened and how much I wish that I could have been there to try to stop it, nothing would have changed. No matter how much I did and how much I wanted it to change, it was never going to. So I kind of realized that the past doesn't exist and neither does the future. You know, past already happened. It's never going to change. It's just there, and the future hasn't happened yet. So why am I constantly living in either one of these, thinking about what I should be or what I was, instead of being who I am and trying to just every day be better and work harder and think smarter. You know what I mean? But I was always different from them anyway, from my dad's side and even from my mom's side. I was never like anyone, or maybe like everyone. I don't really know. Everybody's always saying, hey, you're like this person when you do this or when you make that face or say that thing. You know what I mean? So it's like, I don't know. I feel like I've chosen a path that the people in my life haven't, and it's new territory. So success and a legacy in my mind are different than I think it would be to them. You know, so sorry to ramble, but like that's kind of.
It's a long form podcast. You're allowed to ramble, man. You mentioned like whenever people like mention your father or like thought of him, it was always like with this negative connotation. Just kind of getting from what you're saying, like he struggled with drugs. And whenever you came around, you felt like did you feel like people associated you with that?
I think they thought I had the capabilities to become that, because my dad, it wasn't always like when he moved to South Carolina is when he quit drugs, because he used to sell drugs, like, and do drugs and just do messy shit. Like, you know what I mean? But at a certain point when I was 3, he moved away to get better. And he was fine for, I don't know, 10 years. And then at a certain point, he started drinking. And then the drinking became a problem. And then he almost started getting abusive and angry, and like he just loathed everything. Like no matter what anybody would do, they could never be good enough. And I think it's just because he hated himself and the things that he's done or seen that caused him to kind of push it outwards, because he didn't know, he was never taught how to deal with any emotion. So it just was like a ticking time bomb. And one day the nuke went off. Like there's been times where I fist fought my dad. Like I had to, because he was getting to the point where he put hands on my siblings. And I don't like that. I don't care if you're a parent or not. I dumped him on his neck. I was a wrestler at the time. So I don't know how I did it. He wasn't that big of a guy. He was like 5'6". So I dumped him on his neck, but he started coughing up blood, and it scared me, because he had liver damage at that point, and just like his body was like almost shutting down. And it's funny because like years before he passed, he would always talk about when I die, like he knew it was coming, and he'd be like, protect your brother, keep an eye out on your brother, make sure your brother's okay, be there for him. And then I was so busy, almost being so self-centered about my loss, I lost sight of my little brother. And he was still however many miles away from me, to where I couldn't physically be there for him. I tried to text him, but he was lost too. He didn't even want to talk about anything. And it was just like, he almost started becoming like my dad, but not in the same ways. He was just getting really aggressive, didn't know where to put his feelings. And him and my dad both had like seizures. And that's how my little brother passed, is he was in the shower. Actually, after a trip that he took up here to see me, we went to a baseball game, and he was here for like a week. And the day he left and got back home, he got in the shower, had a seizure, hit his head on the faucet, and passed away in the shower. And I got a call from my grandfather. Meanwhile, he just lost his dad and his grandson all within 9 months. So he almost has it worse than I did. You know what I mean? Because those were vital parts of him. Those were his seed. You know what I mean? So it's like, and he calls me with no emotion in his voice, and he's just like, your brother's dead. And I was at work. So I'm sitting there at work. What the fuck are you talking about? He was just here, like yesterday. What are you talking about? He's like, he's dead. And I'm just sitting there in shock because I'm like, there's no way. He's 15. Like, you don't expect a kid to die. So it's just like, I didn't know what to do. And I think the stress of my dad passing caused him to start having those seizures, which caused him to pass. But I know if it was vice versa, it would have happened the exact same way. If my little brother died, my dad would have OD'd even quicker. You know what I mean? So it was like, after a time, I was just like, fuck, I mean, it happened. It is what it is. I mean, I can't say that I'm like healed from it, but I can say that when I see a picture of him, I don't cry, I smile. You know what I mean? Because I appreciate every moment that I had with him, even if I didn't get as much time as I wanted. And I decided to stop focusing on everything I didn't have and start really, really taking into account all the stuff I did. You know what I mean? And that's kind of like my drive for the legacy I want to leave behind. It's also not just for my name to be remembered, but theirs too. Like I want Parkhurst to be known and to be respected and loved, and then they live on through me. You know what I mean? Like every time I do anything, I can feel their hand on my shoulder, just like, just go, you gotta go. And so it's like I'm not a quitter by any means, but at that point in time, I needed that break. Otherwise, I wouldn't be able to transform my music from what it was to what it is, because what it was me messing around with words. And what it is like an actual self-expression, no matter if the song is serious to me or not. You know what I mean?
So, wow. Just first off, wow. It's a lot.
Yeah, no, man.
No, and like, I guess like one of my next questions to you is like you deal with a lot of anger, you deal with a lot of these feelings associated with what you've gone through, but you're also trying to like draw lessons from it. And I'm going to butcher this saying. I heard somewhere like smart people learn from their mistakes and wise people learn from the mistakes of others. And it seems like you've had like a hell of a combination of both, right? Like first, like that anger that you feel, like the resentment that you feel, like how did you place that into like trying to turn that around and be more positive? And I know like, I know it's a work in progress, right? But like, how do you take those feelings of anger and resentment and like you're coming across like that doesn't dictate what you do as far as just like how you treat other people and how you treat yourself, but how were you able to learn to take those feelings and push them towards like what you said, leaving behind a positive legacy for Parkhurst?
Yeah, it kind of transformed from a one way to another.
Right. Well, when the Hulk was like, I'm always angry, kind of like that. Like even when you see me in the most calm state, there's always that little piece. But like I said, when I did a lot, like that soul searching period of time, I was able to go, like, what is my anger, and kind of diagnose like, what is it that is causing my anger? Is it me? Is it what happened to me? Or is it me is it me lacking perspective? And what I realize is that everything is a matter of perspective. So at this point, I don't even think I am angry. I mean, I was, and a lot of my songs that I wrote during that period of time, which really helped me get it onto paper so I could understand what I was feeling. Like when my dad passed, I was angry. I was mad. But when my brother passed, I wasn't. I was just like, I'm not mad, I'm just sad. And the thing is like for men, it's like you're always a nuclear bomb ready to go off. You know what I mean? Like I don't think we have the same emotional capacity to be able to go, like we do, but it's not something you could speak on because like, you're raised to not be weak and to be strong. And so it's not something that you can really speak on like that. And then the way that you get it out is by your work, whatever you do for a job, if you exercise, if you cook a meal, clean the house, whatever it may be, you take that excess energy out on something positive to kind of transform that into it's no longer anger, it's motivation. So I kind of had to look at it like that, like this isn't am I really angry, or am I just not looking at things the way I should? Because, there's a million ways to skin a cat, so it's like you could do anything and look at it 1,000 different ways. So I decided, like, let me try looking at it at a different angle. Like, maybe they were too good for this world, so they had to exit it before it got real bad. Or maybe in an infinite multiverse, there's a universe where they still are alive and we're living happily together. You know what I mean? So it's like, if you just kind of switch the way, when I was like mind over matter, it's like, if you can just switch the way that you're coming at certain problems and anxiety, aggression, any issue that you have, you can fix even if you're alone. And a lot of times those same people could be surrounded by people and still feel alone. It's a scary process because you don't know if it's actually going to work or not. And it's a constant balance. Like it's not something that's permanent. Like you could do the work for it, but you have to do the work for it every day and just remind yourself. And there's times that I do break down a little bit where I don't have the same motivation, or I'm not happy that day or whatever. But then you just you got to shift back and keep going, because once you let yourself slip and fall back down that hill, it's harder to climb back up. You know what I mean? Because shit rolls downhill, and I'd much rather be at the top of the hill, So I'm just trying to keep my head up, man. Gotta keep your head up. Ooh.
You know what I'm thinking about when I hear the stories like this? It's like, whatever happens in your life, you can survive anything and still can be a good person. So sometimes, like in a movie, in a whatever, people like, oh, like John Wick, something happens, I'm gonna kill everyone. I became really, really angry, and I'm gonna start to how it's called? Tell me the word. When you do something bad to someone who make bad for you, I forget the word.
Revenge.
Revenge. Thank you. There's like, to life, like I'm gonna be just a bad person just because this world bad to me. And there are some people who do that, but they never happy. They never satisfied, because I mean, I hear the stories and I just think about like, you can survive anything and still do well and be a good person. And there is no such a thing as like losing anything, like losing some close people and just give up. It's another option, because if you're still alive, you for something needed in this world. So
not to put you on the spot, but I think you're a fine testament to that as well, with you and your own life experiences.
I mean, I'm sometimes looking at my art, it's like, oh, it's so colorful and everything, and if you don't know my story, that I war survivor, you never like understand, like, oh yeah, it's kind of funny and everything. And sometimes I ask myself, like, why I don't do like a dark something, like to like show off what's actually inside. But I think world don't need that. They need something to help them to relieve complicated situations. Art can be sad and mad and dark, but I don't want to bring it. I want to bring something good. I want for people to look at it, it's like, oh, I have a bad day, but I have this, and it's bright, and it's like, oh, it's like, even if it's just a sticker, it's like, oh, it makes me smile. It's like a silly, dopey dog, for example,
Just for a little more context, if you're not familiar, Marie was actually living in Ukraine in Kyiv during the onset of the war.
Yeah, so that has to be that's a different struggle, but it's a struggle all in the same. And it's funny because it's like, no matter how much you take, you'll never get back what you lost. So it's like, like the expression of art, you think like all those happy pictures of the happy songs, they're usually the most depressed people. And it's funny because it's like all the best people in the world had to go through a lot to understand the beauty of life and how quick it could be taken away. So it's it's almost like an eye opener. It's almost like living in a different world than everyone else who hasn't had to go through anything. You know what I mean? Because it's like they've been sheltered to a point where they take everything for granted. But there's been times where I've been homeless, so I appreciate food and a bed and lights, water. You know what I mean? A lot of people don't understand those type of things or appreciate every single moment I get with my family, because at any moment they could be gone, dust. So it's like, what do you do when any moment you could lose everything? You live it to the best of your ability and you try to leave some type of positivity behind. But there's always, like I said, there's always that other road that you could take where you just fall into it and you let darkness control you. And those are the people that don't have control over their mind and their emotions. They let their mind and emotion, or their emotions control them, which it should be the other way around. Like, you should have control over those emotions and realize that emotions aren't fact and they're fleeting. Sometimes they change on a daily basis to where you could be sad and miserable one day and you could be super happy the next. So you kind of got to go with the flow and take it in stride and kind of go, if today's not that great of a day for me, then I'll try to make it better. And if today's a great day, I'm going to ride the wave. You know what I mean? So that's all it is like, if you're a person that's been through a lot and you think you're going to fall into that hole, remember that it could always be worse. And sometimes things got to get worse before they can get better. So don't take life for granted. It's sacred. It's important. And, there's people in war. There's kids in like Syria getting gas bombed daily, and they're still happier than some kid with a Porsche because his daddy didn't get him a Lamborghini. So it's like, check your blessings, like count them.
Yeah, I'll definitely say on like a personal note, Marie's experience like definitely helped me put my own life in perspective. And, just kind of hearing these types of stories and like what people go through. I'm trying to like that saying that I brought up earlier, like a wise man learns from other people's struggles and mistakes. Like, don't get me wrong, I fuck up all the time too. Like, but like kind of like getting to know Marie, like, and like getting to understand what she went through. Like for me, like I was just some drunk cable guy, and now like I'm sober and we're doing all of this together, like really trying to build something. And a lot of that was kind of inspired by her. Well, not only with the art, but just kind of like how she takes her experiences and not necessarily let them dictate who she is. Like, so listen, I'm not perfect. I'm still trying to learn from that. But yeah, I'm trying to like kind of take that other side of that saying, wise people learn from other people's mistakes and struggles. We're all going to mess up. You know what I mean? I mess up all the time too, but
I must disagree with you with this phrase. I hear this phrase like worldwide famous, but I disagree. It was like, you need to learn on someone else's mistakes. But like it's
people learn from their own mistakes.
it's a famous phrase, but I believe it's totally wrong in a one way. Other people's lives is not your life. They may don't have the same situations. If they have the same situations and you can see like, oh, they go this, like you said, there's a path. They choose this and you decide, oh, I know what's there in the end. I go another one. It's the one thing. But if the life give you complicated situations that you don't see any example in front of you, you need to do the choice by yourself. And if you step on in a puddle, it's gonna wet your legs. There is always way back. There is nowhere, like, it sounds ridiculous, but if we're talking about you make this decision, that's it. Only one way you can make decision is gonna be that's it. If you're gonna, we'll bleep it. That's the only one you make a decision and that's it. Other ways you can go back, start from the beginning, do step back, do step ahead, check it out, go back, try another way. Life, it's fun because you can try different stuff. You can have as much experience as you want. A regular person is like, doesn't have this kind of, luxury to have that because we have a job, we have families and everything, and you have so much responsibilities. And I believe the rich people have this, like, oh, I can take a year and just go around the world. And in general, it's not fair. But if you look back, you can do this too. But we really responsible for lots of stuff. That's what I want to say. It was the first thing that I just want to share because it's what I believe. And the second one, I believe almost every artist trying to leave something behind and something good. If someone remember you, they're going to remember you because of a good thing, not because of your mistakes. And you said that on the beginning, and I believe it's a part of your artistic personality. You said, I don't want for someone to remember me for something bad, right? Because you have the example where someone left a weird taste in the mouth. And you want to do something that's going to be much better, and you left your footprint in the ground like forever. And that's point that I want to pivot to your art, because you create music is like being a musician is interesting. And I always ask, like, some musicians create the music, create the song, write it down, all of that. They perform. So you just have so much faces. You have a person who do this at home, at studio. You have a person who go outside talking to people. You have a person who go out on stage. I want to ask you, do you separate yourself, like, artistic and like real? Because sometimes when we interview people, they just like, oh, I just wearing the mask, or like I pretend like I don't know, go on Everest or whatever, like strong and irresistible. What is your way to be an artist?
I think who I am outside is definitely who I am when I'm alone. It's the only difference is I feel like it's more pronounced when I'm out and like in front of people. I'm more like showy and snappy, like, hey, look at me, I'm doing my little dance, and or whatever, doing my song, because a lot of people who put on those masks, I feel like the music isn't as true, because if you are going to be an artist through and through, you can't have a mask. The art can't be your mask. You have to embrace that part of yourself fully and accept yourself fully to be able to produce the best thing you possibly can. So when I'm all goofy and stupid and acting a fool, that's exactly how I am at home, and if I'm serious and talking business, that's exactly how I am at any other point in time. You got to be multifaceted as a person to be an artist in general. No matter what the art form is, you have to experience other things in life to give you that inspiration to make that art. You know what I mean? You can't, if you're sitting inside all day or you don't talk to anybody, you're never going to get those experiences and those ideas. Some artists can, I know some artists were shut-ins and they just sat there and doodled or whatever. But when it comes to music and a spoken form of art, you need things to say. And if you run out of things to say, what do you do then? You go out and find new things. You go try different stuff. And I think you have to be open to life in general, like accepting whatever may come and using it to formulate your art as okay. So I'd explain it as if I went out to a park and I really like this flower and I really like that tree, and I notice certain things about that tree and about that flower that I didn't notice about anything else. If I were to start writing, I could write details about that, but it's hard when you're not stopping to smell the roses in life to dial in on certain things and get the full scope of an experience. So when you're up on stage, if you're wearing a mask and worried about keeping up that persona, you're not able to fully enjoy it and be who that is. And I know a lot of people, everybody has a different reason for making music. Some people do it for the art. Some people do it for money. Some people do it because they think that's what they should do. I don't expect anything from doing this except it's fun for me. I enjoy doing art. I've always loved art in general. So separating art from myself, I could never do because I am art. Art is me. So it's like, and that goes for a lot of artists, is like, I don't think I've met one artist yet that only does one thing. You know, they do a lot of things because life is the art to them, and artists have almost more of like a left brain approach to everything, and they're just wacky and zany and weird. Like when we were hanging out with Ray, she was so full of energy and life, and like if you just keep up with her stuff, she does so many different things, and you're like, where do you find the time? And it's like, because that's when you're passionate and you're not focused on keeping up a mask, pretending to be someone you're not, you're able to actually discover who you really are. And it kind of almost makes your art better. So I'd say I can't put on a mask because I spent so long trying to take it off. You know what I mean? I can't wear it like Jim Carrey, like fighting to get it off. It's like, you know, growing up when you're in high school and stuff, and you're trying to, all you want to do is fit in. And it's funny because now everybody's trying to be different and weird. Like everybody wants to be all crazy and like, look at me, I'm different. I have 98 piercings or whatever. But like back in the day, you'd be like, what's going on with this guy or whatever. You know what I mean? So everybody's trying so hard to be different now that they all end up the same. So either way, the product remains. Just be yourself and you'll actually enjoy life. But if you're constantly just trying to show people that you're strong when you're not, or you're smart when you haven't took the time to learn, it's almost like you're stopping yourself from gaining those things. Like if you think you know it all, you're never going to learn anything. You're not willing to learn. Like if you think you're the strongest, you're not going to exercise because you think you're already strong, or whatever the case may be. If you think you're the best at one thing, I'm the worst at this, you're shutting yourself off. You know, you have to give yourself room to grow. So trying to put on a act is only for actors. You know what I mean? Like Robin Williams, look at him. He was you think he's the life of the party, but meanwhile, he was sad the whole time. And that's because he put on a mask and refused to allow people to see that he needed help. So I refuse to let that happen because that's what my dad did. He put on a face saying, I'm fine, I'm good, I'm fine, I'm good. And at a certain point, it ate him alive because he wasn't able to go, I'm not okay, I need help. Because we're trying to stay strong and diligent and like, I got this, I'll handle it myself. Humans are meant to connect. They're meant to be together. That's why there's so many of us. And that's why we started off prehistorically building communities. No one like lived, fight a bear by yourself. Like, no, you needed people with you. And that's how you spring ideas and create art and create life and make fire, caveman. You know what I mean? Like you have to experience life to be an artist. You have to take off that mask to be an artist. So I think my advice would be, if you want to truly discover who you are, take off that mask and be truthful with yourself and the world of who you are. You don't got to search for acceptance. Someone out there will like you for who you are. So you don't have to constantly search for that, for everyone to like you. Nowhere ever in time has someone been liked by everybody. You know what I mean? There's always going to be a hater. There's always going to be someone that's like, I love this guy. But if you're not your true self, what do you really gain from that? What do you gain from being liked if it's not even who you are? So that's my thoughts on it. But like,
yeah, and you can't pretend forever. Yeah.
notes. He says no mask.
No,
In your song, you said you bust in your house wearing a mask. So what is the deal here?
I think that might be a good segue into like what we're doing now, as far as you and your music and the direction you're going. Yeah, and like I said, by the time this comes out, your episode of The Recipe will be out, and you go into depth about your song Show Off and like how you use some creative language to express something that you may not actually do, such as busting into people's houses and draping them with plastic.
Oh, God.
I just edited the video, so it's still pretty fresh in my mind, but I think this would be a good segue to talking about your new rollout and how you plan on moving forward.
Oof. Yeah, and that's a very valid point. I talk about it more in that, but the point of that song was like, I'm showing you that I could talk about the same things but do it cooler. Like that's all. That's all about the like, just be yourself. Like be you and stop trying to follow this status quo and stop trying to copy what you see because you know it works, because it's not going to work for everybody. You know, at a certain point it gets stale and old. So that was kind of the point of that, and it's going to be like the first single released, but I have a big game plan that the project that I'm working on, I haven't came up with the exact title yet. I think I'm working something around like 13 or first one with a PHURST, which is like Parkhurst, but like you know what I mean? So, and the cover of the album is going to be a picture of me and my dad when I was younger. It's on the cover of like the songs that I have now, because originally those songs were going to be on the project. But then once I hit that like rebrand and coming back, I am so much different than I was when I was 18, 19, 20 years old. I'm 24. It's the things you learn and looking back and realizing how dumb you were when you were younger. And you're like, man, I learned so much. Like I'm so different, and the experiences of life have changed me so much to where the music that I'm making now, it's not the same at all. Like, so this album or project, because I haven't decided how many songs I'm going to put on it, could be an EP, could be an album. I think I want to make it an album, just go for the big kahuna and just knock it out. First one out the way. But it's going to be an explorative, like what boundaries I can press for myself and see how many different ways I can go. Because even though hip hop and rap seem very closed off, there's so many sub genres that I like to expand, like the down south beats, like the Suicide Boys type beats. I play with those a little bit. I made like a drill song or a trap song or a kind of lo-fi type of song, or a song where I'm singing and it's damn near R&B. It's like I'm trying to see where my limits are. And then as I do it, I realize that I don't think I have any, because it's like I think I like to call myself a mimic, because I'm really good at taking things that I like, switching them to where they're original, but also keeping the same principle. So like when I hear new songs, or I go back and listen to old songs, and I'm like, man, I like how we did that. Let me try that. And so I'm able to do it. And even when it like comes to like copying voices and stuff, so like I'm able to move in different octaves. Like I can go from deep and raspy to my normal talking voice to up here when I sing, and you know what I mean? So it's like, I think that this album or this project is going to be me showing off. Like it's going to be, that's kind of the purpose of it being show off, being the first one out. And then it's going to be followed by kind of like a club party song, and then a song from my home state. I call it the Delaware song. It's untitled as of right now, but maybe I'll call it 30210. You know what I mean? But yeah, so it's been a process, because obviously with a lot of money, you seem to lack the time, and a lot of time you seem to lack the money. So it's when I get the opportunity to do so, I'm like, well, I got bills to pay. I can't really sacrifice that for the music. So it's hard to put specific deadlines, especially when you don't really know anybody that'll help you out with it, and you got to do it all yourself. You got to buy the beat, you got to buy the studio time like twice because they have to master it. Then you got to pay for a video, and then you got to pay for promotion. And in total, one song costs you $800, and you're like, Jesus, like what happened here? But luckily, I've come into contact with people that will help me in this angle, help me in this angle. I found certain people that have provided me with beats for cheap or even free. I found my roommate is going to shoot my music videos for free, just because the people that are in my life and that know who I am know that if I go up, they're going to go up too, because I'm not a selfish person. I share everything. And that was one of my main issues, like growing up, is that I gave everything to everyone else to where I had nothing to give to myself. So therefore I couldn't push that, but I hit a point in life where I'm like, I can't do it anymore. I got to be a tree rooted in the ground. So if a branch snaps off, the whole tree don't tumble, like I can't have a strong gust of wind taking me and my family with it. So I kind of had to start not being selfish, but more self-driven to create what I'm trying to create, and being more open to new experiences. So for example, like when I came and did the recipe, that was all new experience for me. I've never done it. And even with the few times I perform, I still get jitters no matter what I do, because it's like it's a new experience, and I'm like, I don't know how it's going to go, but I hope it goes well. So it's like I never know what's actually going on. So it's like I'm just kind of winging it and just trying to use my my intuition to make the best decisions possible. And when we were talking about the whole, like, the wise man learns from other people, I've seen a lot of mistakes. So, and whether they would work for me or not, I kind of take like a general consensus of what I think that would cause everybody to fail, or that would cause everybody to succeed. So it's like, I'll take the general ones, apply it to my life, but not too much to where I miss out on experiences and learning from those experiences. Because that's where a lot of the art stems from. Because if you're too busy learning from experiences you haven't had, again, you have nothing to put in your art. So it's like a lot of times mistakes is what causes the best art. You know what I mean? The wrong relationship, getting cheated on, boom, boom, boom. You got the number 1 breakup song. Shout out to T Swizzle. You know what I mean? So what are you gonna do, man? You just kind of gotta go with the flow. Like I was never that type of person. I was a person that, with the things that I went through, I was trying so hard to control my environment so nothing bad would happen. And what I realized is, because my grip was so tight, everything bad happened. So when I understood that the only expectation you should ever carry is for people to be who they are, you're able to kind of go, okay, well, I'll love you from a distance. I expect a liar to lie and a thief to steal. So it's like, I'm not going to try to control anymore. And once I kind of let those expectations go, I kind of was able to go, all right, now let's explore who Nathan is and what he's trying to do. And so the album has been an accumulation over the last year of me going through different things, but yet exploring different places, but also keeping it mainstream enough to actually draw attention into where I can have an actual following by the time my second project comes out, and I can actually get deep and talk about things that have actually happened to me or things I've actually seen in my lifetime, and draw from the roots of the music that I grew up with. Because I grew up like a 90s kid. I listened to Big Pun and Wu-Tang. They were my shit. Bone Thugs. Like, I draw a lot, and obviously I draw a lot of my like the wordsmith aspect from them, and then I try to give it more of like a new era twist where I use more current references and stuff like that. And but like on the album or the project, I'm gonna have some boom bap songs where I'm just kind of like able to kind of just roll with it and throw some bars in, and you can actually hear it. I have ones where I'm going quick and I'm like, ba 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 ba. I got breakup songs. I I got a real special song to me called Trees of Gold, which is the chorus kind of goes, trees of gold, leaves of fallen, fields of snow, autumn forgotten. It's I sing it, so it's kind of drawn out more, but the purpose of that song is like all this time is passing by and the world's changing around me and I haven't changed with it. So it's me wasting time. And that was what kind of started off the album, because I was like, man, and I was never the one to do choruses. I was bad at choruses. I didn't trust my ability to sing at all. And so 90% of my work was freestyles. But once I started realizing, okay, let me put a format to the music, I was like, okay, here's my chorus. Separate it. Take a breath. You don't have to fill all 4 minutes with you speaking. You know what I mean? And sometimes it makes it more powerful when you do that. And I had no clue. I was like, I'm going to say as many words as possible and talk about everything I possibly can. And then I realized that those things weren't drawing any attention. It wasn't until I made a song where I was like, I had one focus, one idea, and it turned into boom. So that's kind of also what I'm focusing on, is reining myself in, because in my mind, this song could be my one song that people listen to. So let me talk about everything so they can kind of grasp what I am and who I am and what I want to do. But then I was like, well, if I do everything in one song, then I'm going to do everything in every song, and then it's all going to be the same. You know what I mean? So this is kind of me going in all like a spider web, just kind of like weaving through all the different genres and trying new stuff. And I know somewhere down the line in my career, I'm going to try rock music. I grew up with rock music, dad rock, you know what I mean? Like I love me some Incubus and shout out to Sleep Token, because that like their album is tough. But yeah, I got a lot of inspiration from music in general. Like I always liked rap, but I didn't pursue anything rap. I didn't constantly listen to rap music until I got to the age of like 13, 14. That's when I started listening to rap. But before then, I was listening to rock. I was listening to dubstep and EDM and stuff like that. Stuff that made like, have you ever heard the song See Me Fall by Ro Ransom?
It's not coming to mind right now.
It's just a song where there's like super hard bass drops, and it's just like, you get that tingle down your spine when you hear a certain song and it makes your hair stand up. That's what I'm chasing with every song. I want your hair to stand up, or I want you to feel an emotion to where you want to hear it again to feel that emotion again. Like, because there's certain songs, like there's a song called Cole by Dylan Gossett, and it's like a bluesy type of song, but every time I hear that song, I think of my dad, and it makes me tear up. So every time I want to feel that, I go to that song. So I want to kind of leave that behind, where I can trigger certain chemicals in your brain to make you go, I feel happy. I feel sad, or I feel peaceful, or, exuberant, or whatever feeling it may be. That's the goal, that at some point I want to encompass all those things, everything, all of it. I want to bring it all together, all my ideas. And I'm a thinker, dude. Like I'm 90% of the time I'm in my head. Like you could be talking to me and I hear nothing because I'm thinking about something. You know what I mean? So it's like, I have so many ideas that I've created over the years with the inspiration. And what I didn't mention is that when my dad left, my mom became gay. Like my mom got with a woman, and they both raised me together until I was 11. So like 8 years of my formative years, I was raised by her, and she's just this little Puerto Rican lady, and she was a DJ. So when she would go do gigs in Philly or Wilmington or wherever, I would be with her, or even if she was in New York, like we used to go to the Bronx and so I experienced so many different cultures and places that weren't my own, and things that wasn't normal to me. I traveled a lot. I've been cross country. I've been in places where I was uncomfortable. Like for example, I'm not a city person. So anytime I'm in a city, immediate anxiety. I'm always looking over my shoulder. I don't know why, but I've realized over the years that I like to be at peace, not necessarily in the woods, because that's kind of creepy, but like, suburbs, just, there's people around. I can get to a place and not have to drive 45 minutes, but I don't like being so enclosed and in a place where it's been almost, it makes it hard to think. It makes it hard to really like lock into yourself when you have so many things going on. You can't pay attention to anything. Like, it's just like, it's so distracting. So being like experiencing these different places, it made me realize what I like, what I don't like, what I want to focus on, where I want to go, what I want to try. And it's almost like knocking out a bucket list that you didn't know you had. And like once you've been to that place, it's like, all right, well, I want to try that one because I heard it's like this, or I don't want to go there because I heard it's like that. You know what I mean? So that's kind of where I'm kind of going with it, is like every time I went to a new place, I got a new idea. I got a new feeling from that place or from the people I was around. Like being around my mom, I was around Puerto Ricans all day. Like I was around Hispanics all day. So I was like, I listen to reggaeton. Or, gotta get it in. You know what I mean? So I don't even know what they're saying half the time. I know when she's yelling at me and I have to dodge a chancla coming at my head, but whatever. And for example, those specific situations influence other arts that I do, like culinary. Like being around those people influenced a certain way that I cook, or just loving Asian culture influenced the way that I cooked. So when I cook in the booth, it influences it the same kind of way. So that's why I'm leaning in so many different directions with this album. And the next one will be more straightforward and to the point of what I want to talk about. But hopefully by that point, I can gain a lot more experiences and have a following to where, and at least enough money to experience something that's more up there. Mm-hmm. And a point you made earlier when you were talking about, how rich people don't have to, they get to just take off and travel or do this. When you had parents with like a wealthy mindset and like a happy mindset and nothing ever went bad, your life goes the same way because you're raised that way. But when you're raised in poverty, your mind's in poverty. You have to exceed that line to be able to push yourself out of it to go, now I'm not in poverty anymore. You know what I mean? But if you constantly have the broke mindset or the negative, I hate my life, I'm in this place, I'm stuck, you'll never get out. So this is my attempt to get out. Like, you know what I mean? Like in every aspect, whether it's just keeping a constant motivation towards whatever the hell I'm doing, like music, just staying consistent at the gym, staying consistent at work, trying to get a raise, blah, blah, blah. It's just, if I keep pushing myself, then hopefully it'll just keep going up and up and up and up. And that's all I'm trying to do with this music, is make people feel something and hopefully teach them the things that I've learned, if they haven't learned it already, to go, well, if he did it, I can do it, right? Like, and that's a lot of the point of like Show Off, for example, is like, you did it, I can do it, they can do it, anybody can do that, do something new, do something different. So that's pretty much it, honestly. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So in short, we got a lot to look forward to.
I hope so. I hope you look forward to it, but I have no idea when it's happening, but it's gonna happen.
As long as you put in the work, man, it's gonna come. It's gonna come forth.
I hope so.
Well, listen, Nate. Like, we got a lot to look forward to, and keep putting in the work. Seems like you're very dedicated to your craft and like just getting better at it. And we really appreciate you sharing your story with us, and kind of just giving us more of like an insight to what your mindset is. So, and that's kind of what this podcast is all about, like just trying to get to know the artist and like kind of what makes them tick. So we really do appreciate you sitting down here with us, man.
Hey, man, I appreciate y'all having me. And honestly, I feel like I just touched the surface. I started telling my life story and it took an hour just to get into, hey, this is what got me to even start doing music. So I'm happy that you guys allowed me to come up here and talk about myself and,
Yeah, man, you just went off. All I did was ask you what your favorite color was, and you just, no, I'm just kidding.
Took it and ran with it.
We're looking forward for you come to us one more time when you already have the established project, album, EP. We'll wait for it, and you can just talk about specifically this and inspirational aspect of that. It's kind of exciting.
Yeah, I'm super excited, and whenever you guys want to have me back, I'll be here. You know, I love this. I love the energy and the vibe, and you guys are great. And you know, I'll forever until I die put on Good Soup. Just be like they're the best.
Last question. What do you think about trains? You like trains?
Yeah, I'm more of like a Thomas the Tank Engine guy, but the Amtrak's okay. You know what I mean?
Okay. The question, how I understand, I already feel like I know the answer. Pokemons or Teletubbies, and I think you're on the Pokemon side.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, I even had a Pokemon bar in the show off talking about what was it, Gengar or something like that?
No, Ghastly.
Ghastly, yeah. I love me some Pokemon. Sometimes, like occasionally, I'll watch a random Pokemon video just to be like, I wonder what's new. Who's the new guys they got? So,
And Ash is still like 13, I'm sure.
I don't know how it's been like 72 years. I don't know.
I think that's an accurate number.
Yeah, he's got like a Peter Pan thing going on.
I think that's a discussion for another time.
Yeah.
But again, thank you, man. And before we sign off, that's your camera there. Just let people know where to find you.
Again, I'm Native. You can find me at 302 Native on Instagram. And look out for the links that I'll be dropping here shortly. Make sure to go follow Good Soup if you haven't, and the recipe platform and all that. And hey, man, I'm here whenever. You just let me know.
Oh, thanks a lot, man. We really appreciate you being here. Picture time?
All right.
Dressing all black like I'm serious. How we ain't famous, I'm curious. I'll burst in my bubble like hold up. Give me a glass, we can blow up. Like I've been fucking the floor up. Give me a cig, I'ma slow up. Show no time, but hold up. I'm rocking the boat like a Nova. Corrupted the beat like Angola. Yo, motherfuckers, I told you I'll show you a show off. This is the shit you want more of. Niggas a chance, so go off. Hold on, we about to show you a show off. Hitting the gas and we go off. The pedal is broke, I can't slow up. Hitting the stage, you know us. See, 4 of us know we gon' blow up.